Welcome everybody to 2021 and another brand new episode of the Emergent Gamer Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Trip Zero. I'm here with Felix Hergood.
Hey, how you doing? This is Felix Hergood.
I'm good, man. I'm here with Lock and Key.
Yo, what's going on, everybody?
And I'm here with Neo Ayoshi.
Hey, how are you doing?
What's up, everyone? We are here for the first show of 2021, and we are going to do our game of the year from 2020 because we never got a chance to wrap this up at the end of December. A couple things we're going to hit right off the bat. First of all, really quickly, we are 8 subscribers away from 100 on YouTube. So go there, follow, so we can get our own URL and make it a lot easier for you to find our content and do things in the future going forward. Second thing, today's January 6th, 2021, and we had a attempted coup on the government. So obviously it was a very tense day. We just wanted to say as a podcast here, I'm pretty sure we're crystal clear on our stances throughout the year, as a lot of other events have happened in one of the most historic years that I think the country has seen, let alone the fact that we were a part of that all. But we're an open space. We are supportive of Black lives. They matter. Trans lives, LGBTQIA. Anyone who needs a safe space, we are there for you. We don't condone any of the actions that people took today, and I think it's actually appalling that people acted so violently on the basis of literally conspiracy theories. And it's also pretty disgusting how a group of white privileged terrorists was treated better than the Black Lives Matter supporters over the beginning of the summer. So
I couldn't believe it.
Just wanted to put that out there, crystal clear. If you don't enjoy that, you can unfollow and not listen. But you know, into the games.
We're gamers,
rip that Band-Aid off
at heart.
Unless you guys want to add anything, but
no,
just wanted to get out and
No, that was concise. That's fine. I'm not. There's no point in beating around the bush.
No, not anymore.
Country's fucking divided. Pick a lane.
We were
asshole.
talking earlier, yeah, and
pick a lane, asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, YouTube, fuck fascism, and game of the year. Before we get into that, you guys got anything you want to add? Anything you've been playing or catching up on? How was your Christmas, if you celebrate? Your Hanukkahs, your holiday seasons, your vacations, your New Year's?
Wait, did I get to recount the saga of getting my PS5 on the show? Did I do that last show?
Feel like you did.
Did you?
Well, I got it on the
like 3 weeks.
I got it on the 23rd.
I forget what level of this story you've given us, because we got the one where someone bought it for you and said they had one for you, or that Mrs. Felix was trying to buy one for you.
Mrs. Felix was able to acquire one.
Am I confusing your Xbox story with?
Yeah, my Xbox story.
That's what it was.
Mrs. Felix went through a few weeks of following like 20 Twitter accounts to like get updates on when restocks were going to occur. Mm-hmm. And then there was a pretty sizable restock at all the retailers in the region. Target, Walmart, they all had it. And then what happened was I got a date. I think I did mention on the show that I have one coming, and that was going to come on January 9th. Now, January 9th is 3 days from now. I have had my PS5 since the 23rd of December. It came 2 days before Christmas in a surprise shipping. And I went,
it's a Christmas miracle.
I just randomly checked to see if the shipping date changed. And this was on like the 22nd or the 21st. And then it said, your fucking PlayStation is coming tomorrow. I think it was on the 22nd. And it said, your PlayStation coming tomorrow. And I didn't believe it. I thought I was getting punked. And that's a dated reference. That's a dated reference.
That is a dated reference, yeah.
No, everybody here knows what punked means.
Everybody here knows what punk
There's
means.
Nobody in the chat that doesn't know what punked means.
Okay, so
Kevin Oates is in the chat.
It came.
Like
you'd argue that I would argue that it is dated, but I think it's like on that weird middle ground where people that may not know the source material know the meaning of the phrase. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's probably what's going to happen. Like, eventually, no one's going to remember that there was a show associated with it, and it's just going to be a term people use to describe that phenomenon.
I mean, in the same vein, we still use the floppy disk symbol to save in a lot of
save.
It's gonna flow into that territory.
All right, so I got
What
it.
do you think of the
I
PS5?
set it all up, and I literally only played the only thing is the Ashra thing, the character guy,
which is cool. Which is very cool.
So I did probably a couple of levels in that, and it was fun.
Well, what do you think of the controller and stuff? Like, what do you think of the UI, like the experience so far?
What do you think of how big it is?
It's real big.
What are your thoughts on?
And it
on
vibrates
the
a lot. And
of the absolute size of that lad.
Did you say it vibrates a lot?
Yeah,
It does though. He's not wrong.
like if it wasn't if it wasn't a controller, it'd be a sex toy. That's truth right there.
Haptic
Like,
feedback, baby.
Awkward looking one.
No, I like it.
When I turn it on, it goes like, and I'm like,
Wow, really?
okay, all right. I'm not kidding. I'm not
That's
kidding.
weird.
I'll record it and I'll like post a Twitter video or something. You can see it.
Now,
Yeah.
But it's like it goes like, and I'm like,
That's crazy.
all right, you're
Still a
supposed to be
next- still a
quieter.
next
but
gen
guess
thing.
not.
I definitely
Yeah,
want to
pretty
say
cool,
that the setup process of a PS5 is so much more encumbering than an Xbox. Like like the fact that I had that I still have to download all of my save files from the cloud.
You didn't have to do that.
I did because I didn't plug the two fucking things in. You know what I mean?
But like, see, I didn't. You can just pick a few save files and then it would just download it.
dude,
It gave you the choice.
The Xbox said, "Do you want to install the backup from our xCloud
Okay.
into this from your previous machine?" It was fucking
Wait,
flawless.
you're talking about PlayStation or
My
Xbox?
Xbox
He's saying
said
that the
to
Xbox
me,
experience was better than the PlayStation
right?
experience.
Because
what
the
you said.
Xbox said, "Do you want to install the backup of your previous Xbox into this new Xbox?" And I said yes. And then it took like
Very
zip-
Apple, very
zips-
Apple iCloud.
Right,
like-
it felt like that. Yeah, the cloud systems just function so much better through. And then on the PlayStation, I get in, I'm set up. I think I go and play a game, and I'm like, it was Days Gone. I was just popping it up. I turned it on, and I'm like, wait, I have no progress. What the fuck is happening right here? And then it dawns on me, oh wait, I did this before. I have to do this fucking thing where I gotta like figure out how to download my files from the cloud and all this shit. So I had to look at a video and research it and figure it out. All that not in the interface. Should have told me that. Should have said something. Like, dumbass, you don't have your save files from the previous console. And I'm like, but like in their defense, they did have a thing saying now you can plug your two consoles in. But I had already ripped out the PS4. It had no cables plugged in. It was sitting to my left by that point because this console was taking the place of that one. It's not like I was leaving both of them fucking there to plug them in.
Right.
So it didn't make any sense how they wanted me to do that. But I was able to ultimately download them eventually. But
My one complaint about the PS5, it takes like an extra click or two to do everything.
yeah,
that's just
and
like-
that's my point. There was this
Off the
extra
bat,
thing.
like that is
There's an extra
Compared to the
thing that I
PS4
have to
UI?
do. Yeah.
compared to the PS4. Yeah,
Interesting.
like it takes an extra little bit of movement or menu
Yeah.
looking and searching to do
The,
everything.
That's never great.
The switching between games thing that both consoles are doing. You have to bring up this little menu at the bottom on the PS5 in order to activate that. And on the Xbox, all I have to do is go to the other game.
Well, no, you have the option. You can double tap the PlayStation button and goes to the main, like the home screen. One tap brings up the bar at the bottom.
But if I'm in a game, can I just go to another game and then just start it and it'll just do it? Okay.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yep.
Then they're the same. They're
But
exactly
it's
the same.
not like the quick save swap that Xbox does. Like you're literally shutting down the game and booting up the other game.
Oh, so it doesn't keep
Xbox,
it doesn't
doesn't
save
store
it
it
in the
in
RAM or
memory.
whatever? Oh, that sucks.
No.
That's
it
beautiful.
might come
that,
later.
that feature of the Xbox is beautiful because I literally
I agree.
I was worried at one point that I was going to lose my Cyberpunk save or whatever, because I had to get up quick for whatever reason. I don't know what it was, and I just hit home and left the app and then came back and I was like right there, and I was in the middle of an action sequence, which was amazing. Like the game was literally frozen in this like moment. So it was
State.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Beautiful. Next gen's here, y'all.
Yeah.
Right.
It's here.
I mean, I don't have much to share other than I'm still playing Cyberpunk. I'm still enjoying it, like despite its flaws. Like it's still a good time.
The thing that Neo and I was remarking to Neo before you guys got on the call, Neo said that he's how many hours? 20 hours in?
No, I'm according to GOG, I'm 50 hours.
You're 50 hours in, and what you didn't tell me, what was the percentage of story that you've completed?
Oof. Where do I?
You're pretty far along.
16% achievements. According to GOG, I have 16% of the achievements. So I don't know what that means.
There's no way to know how much story he's through.
Yeah, GOG
No,
will
that's-
give you
that's true.
the percentage of achievements, but it'll also, like, the game itself gives you 3 different percentages. So what are you referring to specifically, Felix?
I don't know. I'm just saying, what in your best estimate?
He's trying to compare in 50 hours how much story he's
because
gotten through.
because I haven't even met Pan Am, and I'm at 100 over 100 hours of playing the game. I'm just remarking.
Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
No. There's no morality choice here. I'm saying it's just interesting how people play games differently.
Right.
Like online, in the Emergent Gamer forum, there are people who are saying, I ripped through the story, and now I'm going to go back and do all the side stuff. I never play that. I can't play it that way. Like, I like the fact that I've now done mostly side stuff, and like I'm playing in God mode. I'm 50 street cred, and I'm almost to the max level. I'm like 3 levels from 50. I think 50 is the max.
So according to my friend leaderboard on PC, Trip Zero taking the #1 spot, 62 hours, 27% achievements. I haven't even looked at the achievement list. I don't know what's there and what's not there. But I'm at 16%, 50 hours. So,
and I am incredibly underwhelmed at the end of my experience with Cyberpunk.
Oh my!
It's gonna be really, really hard.
Damn.
To go back and finish all the side quests I didn't.
Wow, because you were like the last I spoke.
You were grooving on it.
Yeah,
I was loving it.
I was.
You were loving. Oh man, I can't wait to hear.
The love is going to last as far as no spoilers at all. It was only ever going to last as long as you bump up against the barriers of the world and the barriers of the simulation, And at the end of the day, it just became too much of the same thing with different coat of paints, and not enough to keep me playing the world for reasons besides the story, which in my mind only got weaker as it went on, which is sad because it started off so strong, including the ways
it's like the best part right now.
I know it's
characters are I'm enjoying that the most, all the characters and the story moments.
Yeah, I mean the absolute little that I've played, and I'm now at the spot where I was going to start booting it up again because of the hardware changes.
Yeah,
like that's what made me so excited to play it, because the intro just made me like fall in love with the character set. That would be the only thing to keep me playing, would be the characters. So that's kind of disappointing to hear that was your experience.
Yeah, they started off so strong with the way they wove the different storylines and paths together, and the ways you could choose to go about those different paths and the order that you could interact with the people, and it seemed like you had a lot of choice. But after it's all said and done, you actually had very little choice, and it gets more narrow, both in terms of gameplay and in terms of just storytelling. There's less of like your own experience crafting your experience, essentially. Like the story is what it is. And
so like on a BioWare title, you have a lot of different paths and morality choices that you can make that lead to different endings and different experiences. You're saying that you kind of funneled into one experience towards the end.
Yeah, and there are different things you get as like a reward for doing the different storylines and pathways, but they're just they're just like a reward. They're like an extra scene just to say you did this thing. It's not like your own. Didn't feel like my own ending.
I heard there's 5 different endings though. That's what I heard.
Yeah, there are, but it's like a thing happens and then it just like more things can happen around that thing.
There's like a jump, a diving point where it's like, okay, now you're at.
Yeah, it does not change.
I can see with where I'm at the story, I can see that being the case. The story is, it seems like there's not a lot of leeway in the things that I'm doing with the story. Like the story is just, if I'm with Pan Am, I'm doing Pan Am stuff. If I'm with Judy, I'm doing Judy stuff. Like that is
I'm doing Judy
cut and
stuff.
dry. My responses I know Judy's so far she's my favorite, but I know there's a lot of love for Pan Am. But so far in conversations though, it's like there's not a lot of like, yeah, I'm gonna say a different thing, but ultimately I'm gonna end up picking the thing that continues the conversation forward, right? Like I may say a different thing that it gives me a choice for, but the conversation will still end up in the same spot at the end of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like
Are you
in all those choices.
Yeah, it will. It for sure will. I have a question for you, Locke. Are you at the words yet? The title words?
No,
You're not. Okay.
no, I have not even booted it up since
Got it.
our
Okay.
last conversation.
Okay.
Because I was waiting.
Kongu. Get the
Okay,
Kongu.
then I will not go into the specifics I was going to get into, but I'll still say that things that appear to be like very drastic paradigm shifting choices that I was hoping was going to be the stone that I threw that created ripples down the road
Right.
affected literally nothing. Didn't
Yeah,
do not even a little thing.
It's very disappointing because I think like for example, like Mass Effect or Knights of the Old Republic, like I know I'm dating myself a little bit. These are super old BioWare titles at this point, but like
But loved.
but loved. Yeah. I mean, like your reputation, whether you are in Star Wars, it was Light or Dark. I think it was Paragon and something else in Mass Effect, whatever, just good or bad. Like your dialogue choices changed, the way that you interacted with characters changed, your actions had consequences and allowed you to do certain missions or didn't allow you to do certain missions or allowed you to get rewards or not get them, and the story changed and the endings changed. Like all of that mattered, and that's what gets you to play the game because of the characters and the story that's telling. And I think that's what Cyberpunk needed to do, considering all the other problems that the game has.
Yeah.
At the least, I would have expected it to follow in The Witcher's storytelling footsteps in creating the strong characters.
But you don't
and the
think it does?
character dynamic.
I don't remember the Witcher storyline being anything more than a cinematic thing you follow. It's a single path. I don't remember there being like you could
The story
bang
was
like
basic, but the characters ended up being standouts.
you can bang certain
characters.
people that you could miss in The Witcher, but to me the
Oh,
linear
I banged everyone in The Witcher.
the main
happened.
story. Yeah, so did I. The
I
main
tricked the system. I got Triss and Yennefer. Bam.
I don't think there was anything groundbreaking in how they told a story in The Witcher. Like, so I wasn't really. I'm not really.
Well done.
It
I'm
was
not
just a
really
good
surprised
story.
by
Yeah.
what Tripp is saying. Like, I haven't been surprised by anything that anybody's saying. In fact, I can praise this game while simultaneously giving it the worst critique ever by making this statement. This game, there's a good game in this game world, but the game world is unfinished. I've explored 100 hours of this fucking thing. I've been all over the place. I've managed to create a gameplay experience, like by not playing the story at all. Didn't play it at all. Like I've literally just been playing. I've been parkouring all over the fucking city. Like the minute I got legs that could jump me higher, I started trying to climb as much as I can to explore the upper echelons of the city, the highest heights. I got to V's mansion.
I just got those legs.
Did you guys get to V's mansion? Does it come in the story? Because I found
Spoiler.
it. But I found it by climbing, and I don't know if it's supposed to be a part of the game. I climbed and jumped onto it. I figured out by what this was from a YouTube video. There's an aim glitch that you can use to slingshot yourself across heights, it's weird. You like aim and then go into your like slow motion zoom, and then you can slow motion zoom again, and it basically slingshots you in a glitch like across a ravine. Like it's crazy.
Nah, dude. That's cyberpunk. That's like some
Yeah.
high tech.
But so she has
Implant you got.
evidently there's a fully functional, fully like outfitted with collectibles mansion, and I don't know if it's part of a storyline or whatever, but I found it. And I was like, this is
Wow.
really cool. So my experience
That's wild.
hasn't been. I definitely did what Tripp said. I banged up against the sandbox, and what I've determined is, yeah, there's a game there in an incomplete world because, like, here's a great observation: the brain dances. You can buy them. Why? You buy them, they become scrappable junk. If you buy them, you can scrap them. That's it. So it's almost like they had
brain dancing got under implemented.
It sounds like they had a plan for you to be able to buy a brain dance and try a different one. You know what I mean? Like that would be a mini game where you could like go in and explore brain dances, but it's not there.
It never was, but
you know what I mean?
It would have been a great thing to do.
But why are they a purchasable item? It doesn't make any sense to me.
There is no.
You know what I mean?
No
Like that makes no sense. You know, like what? I don't understand why you can buy things from a vendor, but you can't actually sit at the bar and drink with animation. It doesn't make any sense.
That's another thing. Yeah, like a big part of me is into the immersion of the game, and little things like that really add up to me not enjoying being in the world, because like I love this genre, right? And I want an excuse to be in there all the time, but I can't find it in this game. I can't find it. There's not enough realism. This is such a small thing, but again, it all adds up. Day one, I saw like a cheeseburger on a food cart, and it looked like a PS2 cheeseburger. It was like one color of the bun, like a flat square for the cheese. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's such a small thing. Of course, they got an entire world to make functional, but like, can the burger look good so I can sit down and pretend to be someone just living their lives in a future world?
Right.
What's really funny about that is, and again, I'm only going off of the very little that I played, but the last ending that I get is when you leave your apartment. This is how little I played, and you meet Jackie, and he's sitting at like the ramen stand, or he's sitting eating, right?
Yes.
There's a bowl of soup or a bowl of ramen on the and it's just a flat. It's just a flat thing. Is like it looks like somebody,
my soup is also flat when I eat it.
Right. It was flat, and it just looked like somebody drew it with crayons. And I was looking at it, and I was like, is this my computer being shitty at rendering this bowl of soup, or is this what this bowl of ramen actually looks like? Because if this is what the bowl of ramen actually looks like, that shouldn't even have been there, and it should have just been a blank like bar or table, because I wouldn't have lost.
If food was that big of an issue, have him drink a can of something. You can't see a liquid going into his mouth. Like just
right.
Immersion is everything.
It's not silly. It's not silly, because the attention in the detail is what makes it immersive. Right. Like I was blown away. I mentioned on the last episode, I was blown away standing in the window and looking out at the city landscape. Right. And that looks great for a second, but then your eyes start focusing on the details, and you start picking out things and looking for things, because you can only be in awe of like the totality of it for so long that you start zeroing in on things.
But what you just
things.
described, Locke, is what people do when they look at a Monet, right? When you back away from it, it's amazing. But if you go in and scrutinize the painting, now it's just blurry and fuzzy and doesn't make any fucking sense. And that's exactly what's going on with this game.
I really, really hope you didn't just compare Cyberpunk to a Monet.
I did.
I'm really hoping.
No, I did.
Honestly, I don't. That's not a bad
analogy.
Description. It's not a bad analogy.
It is, because it's not a Monet.
I'm making the point that there are ways to appreciate this game, and people have found them, including myself.
I don't want to make it sound like I have no appreciation for this game. I have a lot of appreciation for this game. But my experiences with this game are not what I want out of the game. And I find it to be incredibly limiting in my immersion experience. I find it poorly implemented in so many different ways. And it kills my experience and drive to be in there more. Right. I can give you a whole essay on things that I enjoy, that I love, that I think they did great and amazing choices they did design wise and character wise. But you know,
they sold a ticket of immersion to everyone.
Yeah, that's a big part of it as well.
And that's not, you bought the ticket because you wanted the immersion. I want the fucking immersion ticket. That's what I bought.
Yeah.
And you're not getting that, because all it is a video game.
When you pull back, there's not a Monet there.
Yeah. And that's what we're in agreement.
It's shit out there. It's shit up close too. It's whether you like the shit is really what it's all
about. We're in agreement, because I'm saying the exact same thing as you. Like, it's a game. I found a game in it. That's what I found. Yeah. I don't find the immersion. There's so many. Look, why are there garages all over the place? Well, I know the reason. because the developers were going to do a thing where you could pull into a garage and fucking get your car worked on. They had a whole car working on fucking thing. You could read that in one of their things that they
Would've been
yanked
great.
from the game.
Yeah.
But the garages are still there. And I knew that they were there for car customization to be a thing. And it's not, in the game.
There was a conspiracy that CD Projekt addressed today that was actually about the locked doors that are all over the world. Like, as if there was like a way to open them, or they were unfinished rooms that they decided to just lock away because you can't pick these locks. There's no way to open these doors.
Yeah.
But
Right.
you can click on them and it says access denied. Right? Like these are these are just rooms that just maybe go nowhere. We don't know yet unless you no-clip the game. But there was a whole conspiracy theory, and like CD Projekt actually debunked it today, saying no, this was intended. This is like the way it should have been. And then honestly, I kind of agree with Felix. Like, there probably was a lot they took off the board because they're like, fuck, we got to ship the game. You know?
Yeah,
Sorry,
I think I was gonna just say, I think I'm just agreeing with you guys. I think this game will be a different conversation come its first major expansion. I think when we sit down and revisit this on expansion 1, and they've done everything to base game, and we get everything that they probably wanted to release at base coming through first expansion with additional story content. My assumption is they will have righted the ship and we will be in a better spot overall, I think.
But I don't think they're ever going to change that fucking cheeseburger. That shit's still going to be a shitty cheeseburger.
No. Well, no, they're not. They're not going to go with. No, they're not. Those details are there, right? Yeah. But if a new area of the map came that was newly rendered and newly created, well, the cheeseburgers on that side of town might look better. But what came out in base game is there, right? Like they're not going to change that, right?
I mean, I really hope this game has a No Man's Sky kind of story, and maybe in a couple years, it's a cool place to be. You know, like I really, 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 truly hope that. And just right now, it's not.
I do think in terms, like, if you look at it as a game as opposed to an immersion experience, yeah, it fails as an immersion experience. But I have a lot of fun with the perk systems and like how I'm leveling the character and like trying to figure out what causes more damage. How can I turn my character into a demigod? Is what I've been obsessed with.
Yeah, I mean, my problem with that is that there's no difficulty after the first couple levels. You fuck on everything. So a lot of the high level skills go out the window.
That's why I'm enjoying.
There's no point to the skill trees.
No,
and every encounter is like go somewhere, kill the people, get the thing. So I don't think
the AI is
there either.
special. Like, you know, I mean, the AI doesn't. There's no way of dropping it back into stealth. There's no way. Like the AI reacts the same every time, right? Like it's not. It's not like there's a unique
there's no uniqueness to the enemies.
I come from the Hard Knocks school of playing 1,000 Assassin's Creed games. I'm good with this.
Sure. I mean, like, and even like the traffic AI doesn't even make it immersive. Like it's just like dumb traffic. Like they stop. They don't drive around you.
That's all great.
Like you stand in front of them, you know.
Someone on a highway in the game got out of their car. They shot their gun once. Every single car on the road, the doors opened up. The drivers got out, and everyone just ducked next to their car on the road in like near synchronicity.
I saw that.
That happens.
Do you know what I want to do? I want to cut that with the opening of. Dude, I want to cut that clip with the opening of La La Land, where like, you know, everyone gets out of their cars and starts dancing. Yeah, I want to cut that so bad with that. That would be a lot of fun.
Jesus. Well, thank you, Trip. It's interesting because, like I said, the last time that we kind of, at least you and I had discussed, you were riding the high, but that was a few.
It's classic me in the beginning of games. I'm usually pretty high on it.
Honeymoon period. Honeymoon period.
I don't think anything you said was incorrect at the time, though. Everything that you said, I think, is probably still accurate. You got more engrossed in what it had to offer. So
I mean, it's
change.
Yeah,
you know?
and obviously like immersion's pretty high up on the list for me. I do have a lot of gameplay problems, but immersion's going to be my number one, you know, driving factor for this. And I'm streaming Skyrim right now, playing a modded version of this, and I'm in awe of walking around every little small town in Skyrim and hearing everyone have conversations with each other that I'm nowhere near. And I'm like, damn, there's really none of this in what's supposed to be the most paradigm shifting game of the decade.
Kind of does hold up. I don't blame you.
How is the mods for it? Like, how does it look? How does it like what?
So
like,
I
how
have
modded is it?
a lot of really awesome mods. I have a lot of graphic mods that make the game look gorgeous, and I also have mods that gave me a lot of survival options. So now I have to eat, drink, and sleep,
Frostfall.
and I have to wear Frostfall and Campfire I'm using, and wear warm clothes because the colder areas you are, you'll get colder faster and you'll die. There's a whole new crafting system to craft camping stuff. I have like the menu is redone. The UI is better than the original one.
Mouse usable, right? I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's
The one that's like, yeah, it's like a
it
better
organizes
menu system for
everything
you.
into like reorganizable lists. So like you can organize your armor by like by armor value, by weight, by type, to really clearly easily sell shit or reorganize or whatever.
Did you do alternate start? Live another life?
No, I did the regular.
I love
The regular
alternate
start.
start. Alternate
I've heard
start.
that's a really
go
good one
awake-
too.
go
Just to shake
awake
up the
now.
experience.
Yeah, well, because it just randomizes you. Like, well, some of them randomize you anywhere on the map.
I downloaded something called the Forgotten City, which is a whole like third-party quest line that is like voice acted and everything. So eventually I'll get there and experience that.
I mean, I was playing on original Xbox One console, so like that quest broke on me. But like that's
Oh yeah.
it's probably not going to break for you.
I think the mod community might be dope for Cyberpunk, and that'll be exciting to see what comes out of
That's
that
already
in the year.
no. I was reading
in
an
the year
article
coming
that's
up.
already started. They've done a bunch.
I've poked into a couple of things.
You-
I haven't
you-
installed anything, but just been reading.
You guys are going to have a good time when they start coming out with really cool mods that completely
sure.
improve.
Like, why can't I just find or make? First of all, why is there not crafting for like cosmetic things? And why can't I just put dumb shit in my apartment to make my apartment my apartment?
Yeah, you can't customize your apartment in that at all. It's pretty bad.
That's disappointing. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a guy. There was a
anyway.
there was a article I read, Trip, that validates everything you're saying. Where this guy was like, if I go to another apartment and they have the same exact row of books one more fucking time, it's like the same row of books. It's the
Right.
same exact closet of jackets from fucking V's apartment in
That's
a
worse
bunch
than the
of
books.
other
I can
apartments.
understand the books.
The
Books you can
jackets are all the
reshade,
same.
mirror, whatever. But the row of jackets, that's like real specific because there's like it skips hangers. It's like 2 with nothing, then like 3 with nothing.
Right. And this guy said he intentionally was looking to like undo or like he wanted to dispel the criticism, right?
Yeah.
And he said I tried to go in and dispel the criticism of this game by exploring closely, by going into apartments and exploring. And he's like, I kept seeing the same exact thing, the 3 books. He said there's like some kind of like fucking some housing ad or something that's on every single like bulletin board in every single apartment. Like
It's so disappointing to think about like what it could have been if it's sat for like a year.
But I remember
You know what I mean?
you guys also had this same exact argument with Ghost of Recon. Like Ghost Recon Wildlands, you didn't like the fact that every village you went into, it felt the same. All of you were very, very critical of that. And it is true. It's a valid criticism to like, why do I have to keep, going through this gameplay loop that's the same over and over again?
And it was also like the gameplay didn't like make it more fun and interesting for me to like continue to do the same things over and over again.
No, but it goes back to: do you like to play a game where you feel like a god, or do you like to play a game where you want a challenge? And if you're somebody that desires a challenge, this is not going to be fun.
At the time with Ghost Recon, my main thing was like, I'm like, man, I just finished playing Metal Gear Solid 5, and that game did this. Like, granted, no co-op, which is a different story. You want to play with friends, but Metal Gear 5 did this like amazingly, like this experience of like infiltration and doing what you want to do. And
I guarantee you, from what I hear from you,
feel that void for me.
From what I hear from both you and Trip, I guarantee you, Metal Gear Solid 5 is probably doing the stealth shit better than this, right?
Well, that's not even the same conversation. Yeah.
Oh, it is for sure.
Yeah.
You can't go prone on the ground and literally wiggle your muscles one at a time to make 0 sound in this game. So it's not even in the same.
Not even in the same conversation.
Good. You know what I started playing again, Neo, which I think you have it because we played it. You know what I've been playing when we're talking about immersion in shooters? What do you think I've been playing?
Oh, I know the answer to this one.
You've been playing Tarkov. Oh my god. That game scares me. I used to
Like
love
a lot of
PUBG for like the adrenaline. It's too much adrenaline. Tarkov has too much adrenaline.
it's too much pumping.
I'm gonna have a heart attack. Gonna have a heart attack.
So what's funny is I essentially just like don't play it like I was when we were playing, meaning like I just don't worry about it, and the game makes it really hard not to because of how loud everything is and how realistic everything is. Like you want to worry about every decision that you're making, but I've found that if like I play it more like a game and less that like I'm in a VR shooter for my own life, that I don't stress as much. So if I keep playing, you should hop in and we should raid together because it is.
I could reinstall that. Yeah, I could do that.
It's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Should we hit our games?
Yeah.
Let's do it, man.
I think we should.
So we are gonna go round the clock games 5 through 1, and just talk, I guess, a little briefly about each game, and if we have overlap, maybe expand a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we're doing our favorite game releases of 2020. So I'm gonna kick it off.
We're starting at 5, right?
Starting at 5 and going down to 1. Yep.
Game 5 for me was Fall Guys.
Fall Guys
was game 5 for me. And
Fall Guys is fun as shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly just there because a good party-like game like Mario Party does not come around really ever, and Fall Guys really nailed it, and they did it extremely well, and it was a ton of fun to play both by yourself against other players in modern gaming online, right?
Mhm.
Mario Party didn't have that, at least when I played Mario Party.
I loved watching you and Nimbus and all those guys like have a time. You guys are having the time of your life. Yeah.
It's just hilarious, man.
It was really funny. It hit the the battle royale genre as well. It's with a nice fun coat of paint on the whole thing.
Yeah, and to see another PS4 free game kind of just hit that wave at the right time, and it kind of just blast off, and the developers being like super engaging with the community and super humble about what they created. It was one of the shining lights in gaming in 2020. So for that, it hits number 5 for me. Felix, what do you got?
My number 5 is the Resident Evil 3 remake, which was not as good as 2. I really enjoyed the 2 remake, but I'm not as critical as people. I wasn't a fanboy of the original one, so I don't really care that it doesn't like meet the beats of that. It did what I needed to do, and it engaged me enough to make me want to do what I did with 2, where I went through and got the whole trophy for everything. And I do like the fact that they had that system for unlocking guns as I went along, as opposed to, because it didn't make any sense that I went through and did everything in the Resident Evil 2 game, and then I couldn't get the rocket launcher until fucking like after I completed everything. I didn't need to go get the rocket launcher when the whole fucking game was completed. It's like, you want to be able to use those tools as you do your playthrough. So I thought it was really neat that they had that like store system, which was probably in the original. Is that true? The store system where you buy the guns and shit.
I don't remember.
I don't know about that. I
Don't
don't think there was a
remember.
store system in the originals up to 4. 4 had a store system. They had a traveling merchant guy that you run into.
Okay.
You'd be like,
Well,
what do you buy? And he
well,
opens
if
his
it's-
cloak and has a bunch of shit in there.
Yeah, if it was a brand new feature, then they did a great job with it, because I was able
It was probably to encourage replayability, which you enjoyed.
Right. Yeah, because it was like, okay, I played through. Now I have enough of the currency to now get this unlimited rocket launcher, and now I'm going to do my playthrough with the unlimited rocket launcher and just fucking total the game. And I thought, goes back to my obsession with playing God mode, because it was
Hell yeah.
it's fucking fun, But at that point, I was in, my 3rd playthrough, I think, of the game when I finally got enough currency to do that. And it's just neat going through something that was challenging, with this extra aided weapon. And it was a lot of fun. So, yeah, I put it at 5.
Felix, question.
Yeah, go ahead. Shoot.
For you. The currency system, I think I want to ask.
Yeah.
How did you earn currency to buy these weapons, and were the weapons you bought like in the menu outside of the game? Like you would go to this like
Yeah.
menu
Yes.
storefront, and then did you gear up
So
for missions and stuff?
you earn the currency by performing certain feats. Like as an
Got it.
example, one of them was like, beat the game by in a certain amount of steps, got you some
Mhm.
currency.
Okay.
Beat the game without, the same shit that was in the number 2's remake.
The
beat
ranking, like the
Yeah.
whenever however you got
but
ranked.
but
yeah.
it had a practical application after the fact, which I really liked.
Got it.
So like after you did this thing, you didn't just do it to do it. You did it to earn the thing that could then get you one of these cooler, more powerful weapons.
Got it.
And I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it works really well. I was asking for clarity because I haven't played that specifically, but I have played Resident Evil, a bunch of them in the series, and in Resident Evil 5, you had a storefront where you would buy weapons from gold you earned in each individual level. You could go back and you could replay a level to farm gold to then buy new guns, buy upgrades for your guns, and so on, and then like you can go back and take things you bought into other missions or playthroughs as you went forward.
When I say currency, this was like points, and then it would be like the points could be used as currency. So it would be
Sure.
like,
Yeah,
I
that makes sense.
think an example was go through the whole game without like using the med healing thing.
Right.
You know, like so
Yeah.
you don't use that
So
throughout
you
the
get
whole
like
game.
rewards for challenges, pretty much.
Yeah, you get like 30 points for that. There were some that were way more the way easier to get. You know what I mean? Like you can unlock them, lock them quicker. But like it was very rewarding after like multiple playthroughs to finally have enough points to get the unlimited rocket launcher that I could then use practically to complete things. And that I think is superior to the 2 remake, because the 2 remake, I had no reason to go for that. Like there was no reason
Right.
to even get that, because in order to get to the point where I could get that, I would have to have completed the game on an S rank in the fastest amount of time. And I'm like,
Right.
if I go through and get an S rank at the fastest amount of fucking time, I'm not going to bother going
Then
through the
you're
game.
done. Yeah,
Like what
what's
the
the point?
fuck? Why do I
Yeah.
need the rocket launcher? I wanted to
Right.
use the rocket launcher to try and complete the thing that's hard.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So,
I do, yeah. So they could have balanced that better, but overall you enjoyed it.
but that's
Nice.
what was great about the Resident Evil 3, and I hope if they do 4 remake, I'm going to try that. I don't know if I'm going to the new game. I don't know if I'm going to that yet. I'm not sure I want jump scare.
It's
horror.
it's very different, right? You'll get there one day.
One day.
Neo, what do we got for game number 5?
This was a tough choice, actually. This was actually the hardest choice, number 5. I put it. I'm gonna go with Valorant.
Whoa!
As my number 5, yeah.
Valorant.
Was that a
I
2020
almost.
release?
It was.
It is. Yeah.
When was
it
that
over the
released?
Summer,
I don't remember.
like
Summer.
June or May.
Was it?
Or
Why did I think it was like last year?
I mean, technically, as
I'm
of
right there
6
with
days
you.
ago, it was.
Yeah. I think it was all the Project
But-
A talk for the betas and stuff before
Yeah.
the year. That's probably what did it.
I almost picked Demon Souls over Valorant, but Demon Souls is a remake, so I'm like, you know what? Valorant was a new experience, and I had a lot of fun with it. Locke, we played the shit out of that game. Like, we talked a lot about it on the podcast. Like, the game was a really fun team. You had a team. It was a fun time. Like the team coordination that went into it, learning the character skills, and like, I just loved playing it. Like, it was just a lot of fun. Can't disagree with it. They made a good game.
They made a great.
I don't know how the legs are on it. Like if it's going to reach the furthest expanse of esports, and like if it's going to really crack that shell. But like, hey man, 2020 for a 2020 multiplayer game, quarantined, it was really fun.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of the competitive scene for Valorant, and it's far too early to tell what legs it will have in comparison to CS:GO. But I thoroughly enjoy watching competitive Valorant, and I know it's not for everybody because
It's
it's play style,
good.
but it's a lot of fun to see how disgustingly good some of these players are, and to see some of their strats and their ability to work together. So yeah, I mean, they've made a great game. They made a great game for sure.
yeah.
Nice Trip.
That's
What do
my
we got
5.
for game 5 for you?
Game number 5 is Destiny 2 Beyond Light.
Whoa. Beyond Light.
That's the 5 spot.
Taking the 5 spot.
It's tough to put one of that as an entry, but then if you think about it, it's its own game. Especially this year more so than any other year with an entire introduction of a new subclass that is still having new implications in how the game is played, good or bad depending on what type of game you play more of. It's great in the PvE space, and it's causing absolute havoc in the player versus player space. But I think they did an incredible job with the story. I think they did a great job with continuing that after the campaign ended, because it seemed like a very short campaign. Then you realize you had a lot more to learn and to experience. The raid was fantastic. It was a great challenging raid at first, but then very teachable and easy. I think I got a lot of people into raiding that didn't ever raid before, and it brought a lot of Sherpas out of the woodwork, which I think is great for the community and the growth as well. Guns feel great. Guns haven't felt as cohesive in a year. Yeah, it was a really good expansion launch overall. Of course, we have the year to see how their seasonal model is going to progress. But that's a different conversation. I think if we're looking at the merits of a release, it was a really, really solid release. And if I didn't touch anything until next September, I'd be satisfied.
I would agree. I was very cold on Destiny leading up to the Beyond Light expansion drop. I mean, I hadn't played it for over a season. And I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much slowed down. I usually raid one night a week, and then I play one night of Trials.
Yep.
And so I'm probably playing 2 evenings, sometimes only one, and that's enough for me.
It's fine. Yeah.
You know, it's not the game that it used to be for me, but I would say that Beyond Light as a package did a really good job.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of ranking it on.
Yeah, Destiny 2 as a whole is for sure another conversation that will depend on how the future seasons go.
We'll definitely have that conversation later, but for now, we'll just skirt right past that because it could be a rabbit hole.
For me, game number 4 was Valorant.
Ooh, there it is.
So for me, pretty much all of the things that that Neo already mentioned. It was my first time playing attack shooter like that. I had almost no time playing CS:GO, no meaningful time, I should say. I barely played Counter-Strike back in the day, so like I really didn't have much experience with that type of shooter. So learning it as someone that is super competitive in the shooter scene, learning this new way of playing a shooter was really immersive and really intriguing, and I enjoyed every second that I've spent playing that game, and I hope to return to it one day. I think it's a game that you struggle to play solo, which is probably why I haven't really played it that much over the past like season and a half. But Riot has the magic, man. Riot, they really do. And with them saying that they're going to create an MMO, it's about to get really interesting to see an MMO created by Riot. But I think as a whole, Valorant nailed it, from infrastructure to how a multiplayer game needs to run in 2021.
Dude, it runs on. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna just say anyone that's making a shooter that's not looking and trying to model their infrastructure off of Valorant is not really trying to make a shooter. They're just not. At least not a.
Do you remember when I played with you and I was on my MacBook and it ran at like 60 frames a second? Like it runs on everything. Like it's insane. They optimize to run on whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it can run literally on a toaster oven. That fucking game. And
doesn't look bad.
It doesn't look bad either. Not to mention the tick rate servers, the low latency, how much thought they put into bullet registration and matchmaking equality and team balancing, lobby balancing. Like all of these things are things that people that play shooters on a casual to competitive level make a difference, and they listen to all of them.
And it's like 1000% the competitive aspect first. Oh, sorry, Neo. But yeah, it sounds like
no, it's okay. Like
focus. Yeah.
they're fast to respond to whatever needs to change in the meta. Like a character is broken, that character is out of the rotation for right now. Like we fix that character on the next patch. Can't play with it right now. We don't want to ruin the experience because we understand that is important to the game. And as a developer who needs to make sure their team shooting game that is supposed to be esport ready, they need to worry about that kind of thing. They need to make sure it's like good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, really hard to transition away from that shooter and play other online games because of how fundamentally awful most are. Like, you know, someone that
even Warzone struggles.
Yeah, even struggles. Warzone struggles in comparison to some fundamental shooter mechanics. So for that alone, infrastructure wise, and to roll that out during a pandemic and all of that, like their infrastructure, it's insane. It really is. So hats off to Riot because it was pretty incredible. Felix, what do you got for game 4?
Game number 4, I, you know, and you guys are gonna fucking Kevin Oates is jump up my ass about this one. Because I'm gonna go with Mafia Definitive Edition.
Ooh. Okay.
And I mean, you know my tawdry history with the fucking Mafia series.
Oh, don't
podcast.
Don't I?
Yes.
You know, like
Tawdry.
returning Mafia 3 like the day after I bought it, and like, fuck this game, I'm never gonna play it. Using
character growth, you know.
So Mafia Definitive Edition, if you guys don't know, uses the gameplay development engine that Mafia 3 had, and it was just such a tight game. It's not the crazy open world game that Mafia 2 became, and I think even Mafia 3 continued. It's more just playing through a movie-esque cinematic story in a very linear fashion. There are collectibles in the world, and there is, you know, what's weird about Mafia is the goddamn drive around and kill shit and do whatever you want thing is actually on the main menu, and you load into the game separately as if it's a separate game.
Oh, so you have like an open world sandbox version, then you have like the story version?
Yeah. It's like
that's really
because this
interesting.
game was created in 2002, so that was like back around the time that Rockstar had come out with like Vice City for the first time.
Right,
So it's like,
yeah.
so there's no like, I don't think there were any rules or definitions of how you play an open world game. So that's what their choice was. They said, we're going to put our open world choice on the main menu, and then when people go in, they just dig into the story. But the game I have now since gone through, completed all the trophies in Mafia Definitive Edition, and I also did all of Mafia 2's trophies. So the first game that I completed 100% completion on my new Xbox Series X was a remake of a game from 2010, which is crazy. Which is Mafia 2 originally came out
Sure.
in 2010, and that's the game that I completed on my Xbox Series X for the first time.
That's
But
funny.
Mafia Definitive Edition was just great. It was all the tropes and cliches of like, but what amazed me is when I found out that they goddamn fucking recast the entire cast of the original 2002 Mafia game with modern Mafia voice actors and actors. Like
Well, they had to because all the other ones were dead.
dead, or they're just, you know, has-beens at this point. But a lot of the
2002, bro.
a lot of the original guys from 2002 were people
we
who
can't
were
get him back. Yikes.
no. But what's really interesting, a lot of the guys from 2002 were guys who were current on the cast of Sopranos. So that because Sopranos had just come out in '99, so it was like all those guys were at the top of their game. They were like, let's get those
Right.
guys to do the voice acting for this game. And then in the new one, it's just a recast of great actors to play all the parts. So it's really interesting that they went through and had people reread all the dialogue. I mean, if you want to talk about fucking remake, that's a remake, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
You rehire all your voice talent, Jesus Christ, yeah, it was
Yeah, I
great.
mean that's a level of remake that a lot of
Yeah.
games don't.
Yeah, all
they
the
don't go down that road at all. The
Yeah,
voice acting.
all the
remake.
Not at
assets.
I mean, look at Final Fantasy X.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Now,
dude.
I mean,
I actually can I sidebar real quick. I feel like I'm gonna one hit play on you for a second,
Go
but
ahead.
Locke just called out something like the voice acting for Final Fantasy X. When I was playing this on my Switch a couple months ago, the longest playthrough that I've done since I played this originally on the PS2, I was like, "There's no way this guy is real." Who does the voice of Tidus? There's no way he's real. And then I found an interview with him actually speaking to a camera, and he's real. And he talks exactly like Tidus. And I'm like, this is fucking
Holy shit.
unreal. And just the line readings he has, I can't. I'm listening to this game in 2020 being like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Someone said this was okay, and they put it in the game file.
Yeah.
Anyway,
crazy.
it's so funny you mentioned that.
and that's why it's even more impressive that they went out of their way to just completely rehire the cast, because I guarantee you the 2002 game has a lot of cheese.
Well, you also
know?
but you also have to think about, for a game that old, like that's like there's a lot of people that have never heard of Mafia because it was made in 2002.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they're also remaking that for a new generation of gamers as well. So
I never heard of the series until we went to E3, Felix, and we saw the big like literal bar setup they had there on the show floor.
Yeah, because
like,
Mafia 3
was coming out.
So Mafia 3 is a 2K game. Like it's created by 2K, who did 2K basketball. But yeah, when we went to E3 in 2016, the hot game that was coming out was Mafia 3, and it takes place in like a fictionalized version of Louisiana, of New Orleans, or New Orleans. I don't know if it's fictional or but they had like a Zydeco band, like, which is the music that's native to New Orleans. They had a Zydeco band right there at E3. Like,
yeah, they're playing. It was the whole building. There was multiple building and storefronts tied together into like a city block they had built right there.
Yeah,
and I was
really
like, "What
impressed."
the fuck is this series? I have never fucking heard of it.
Right, I had heard of it because I had played. Now that I had, by that point, I had recalled it wasn't Mafia 1 that I played. I never played Mafia 1.
Yeah,
because I played through the new re-release, and I was like, I'm not familiar with the story at all. But I had played Mafia 2 back in 2010. I looked at my save file, and it was it was the year the game came out that I played it for the first time. And you know, like, Hangar Games did an impressive job with this, but like I am still critical of the fact that they basically just took a copy and paste and just like copy and paste Mafia 2 from 2010 to 2000 now. Like, and it was just like you put all this work in the other one, but the other one, then the Mafia 2 you did no work on. You just with the same glitches that sucked. Like, there were so many bad glitches. Like, you'd be driving along.
Fun, though, honestly,
no. You'd be driving along, and then there would be these like
the game.
There would be. I didn't hate Mafia 2. I didn't think it was as good as. Mafia
Pretty sure
1.
you went off and fucking screamed about.
Mafia 2 originally back in 2010. I had a great game-breaking bug. I never was able to fucking finish that game. Fuck.
I know. I fucking know, dude.
But the same piece of shit that had the game-breaking bug on me back then, that's what I ended up playing through again, because they didn't change anything. I even added them on fucking Twitter. I'm like, with a clip of the I can't even describe the artifact glitch that fucking occurs when you're driving. It's this weird flash of like fucking like all these lines and jagged shit as you're driving around or in combat.
See how easy it is? So easy.
And these motherfuckers just sold me the same pile of shit.
Reel them in, Lock.
Listen.
What? I'm done.
Neo, what's your game? What's your game?
Thank you. Number 4.
I appreciate you, but we're running real long on this
We're
episode.
running along.
Thank you. Yeah. Number 4 is Last of Us 2.
You're on 4.
This is 4. Yes.
Last of Us 2.
Holy shit, we got to speed it up. Last of Us 2.
Last of Us 2.
This happens every time. We always have to speed it up.
we had a whole. Yeah. Well, don't go long about why Mafia 2 is annoying. No, it's fine. There's not much to say. There's not much to say about Last of Us 2 other than everything we've said already. Like, the game is a masterpiece in design, animation, like storytelling. It's just number 4 for me because the other games I played, I felt were more. They did more in the long run for me personally. So,
Sure,
but overall, Last of Us 2. Fucking masterpiece in game design, and everything it did was spectacular.
Nice.
Story,
That's a good choice.
it's however you take it, but I enjoyed it myself.
I see. I have stayed so far away from the story of Last of Us 2 until the day that I get to play it. So
Good.
Good on you.
You're still waiting, right? You're waiting for
yeah, I know nothing.
yeah.
I'm waiting for it to inevitably come out on PC. That's what I'm waiting for.
Damn.
God
I
bless.
mean, I don't. I'm not.
Stall order.
Yeah, it'll happen, dude. It'll happen. It'll happen.
All right,
Dude, I stayed away from every spoiler imaginable for every piece of content I want to see. I can make it happen.
If you don't want to see something, you can easily avoid it.
Yeah. What do you got, Trey?
Number 4 is Animal Crossing: New Horizons for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us. why.
Solid number 4. The game was just a great escape when the world needed it most. And I have not played it for months right now, but I know a lot of people still do, and it provides that kind of content and that kind of itch that they need. I have stopped playing for personal reasons, but I don't have a problem with the game specifically. It did a great overhaul for the Animal Crossing series. It had an amazing way to interact with your friends by visiting their islands and hanging out with them virtually. Amazing aspects of customization and crafting things to make your own kind of spin on your island. And then while people didn't like the gatekeeping of time, where you had to actually wait real days for things, I really do.
People circumvented that.
Right. I was gonna say, if you really had an issue, you could just speed your clock up on your console, and people did, and got to the things they needed to. But I felt like it was the perfect slow burn kind of incredibly chill. Like, I don't think I've ever had moments as chill gaming that have been more relaxing than Animal Crossing. Maybe Stardew Valley. I think Stardew Valley maybe will win out overall for me, but like, I don't know, man. Animal Crossing hit at the perfect time, perfect place. They did so much for just a nice, chill, calming community game you could rally around.
Animal Crossing is a hot cup of cocoa while sitting in front of a fire.
Mm-hmm.
That's like you got a little blanket on you, and you're
Right.
just like, it's comfort.
Right.
It's like sweet comfort,
And for my personal angle here, to go off of your analogy, you don't drink hot cocoa throughout the entire year. You have it for a couple months and then you're good, but you think back on it fondly. And that's how I think about Animal Crossing.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Lock. Number 3.
Game number 3 for me is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remaster.
Hell yeah.
Yes. That just missed my list. Just barely.
Yeah, for me, I think it was just nostalgia hit real hard for me with that game. Like, I played 1 and 2 like an obsessive amount as a kid. And I think that coinciding with how badly I wanted to play a good skateboarding game again after not playing a good skateboarding game since Skate 3, which feels like forever ago at this point. And then they nailed the remake, man. They did an incredible job bringing the game to modern times with keeping it feeling like the original, but remastering it. The original soundtrack was still hit the same way the soundtrack hit back then. And yeah, I mean, that's really all I got, man. They just did a fantastic job remaking that game after having failed releasing Tony Hawk games. Modern day Tony Hawk games have failed.
They made 5 like 3 years ago, and it was awful.
And it was awful, like real bad.
It's not the same development team as 5, though, is it?
No, but they still threw the title on it and made it a Tony Hawk game. So you lose faith in the IP when someone okays that decision. Like, they threw the sticker on that steaming pile of shit. It's like, oh man, I don't know if I could trust them anymore, right? But they did a great job, and I enjoyed every second with it. Every time I boot it up and I play it, even if it's only for 30 minutes to an hour, I enjoy whatever I'm doing inside of that game, whether if it's just messing around listening to the soundtrack, if I'm actually trying to complete an objective, or just dicking around. Like, it's the perfect chill game for me. So I'm super happy that they nailed it. Yeah.
And they added so many things for this combination release too, like all the new like clothing options, customization options. Like there are things to do if someone's like a grinder and wants things to work on after like the game is done, air quotes, after you've done the levels and done the challenges, whatever. You can play it and just earn money to do other things, which is great. It's just, I mean, replayability is like the buzzword for games right now, and they not only gave you the same experience in an updated package, but they added everyone's favorite buzzword to the game.
Right.
Like they nailed it. They really did.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And they brought some new skaters into the mix to get, obviously some younger kids that have favorite skaters now to play as them. They gave us the older versions of the skaters that we grew up with.
They were really older. Cool. So they're like old heads.
So like, and it's also really funny to see the older versions because do you guys follow Tony Hawk on Twitter? You guys know the saga of Tony Hawk, how no one knows who he is when he goes places.
Yeah, people go, "Hey, you look like that guy."
Yeah. So following him on Twitter and reading these these conversations that he has out in the day to day about who people like, they'll be like, "Hey, you look like that Tony Hawk guy," and he'll be like, "Yeah, I bet I do." And they like don't put two and two together somehow.
I saw a tweet. He tweeted the other day. He was like, "Me and the fam just like out getting our COVID tests." And it was like Anthony Hawk and like all of his kids, and they're like, "Anthony Hawk? Are you related to the Tony Hawk?" He's like, "Yes, we're all related to Anthony Hawk." It's crazy.
so crazy. But yes, so kudos to them. That was my game number 3. Felix, what do you got?
My number 3 is real simple. It's Locke's number 3, Tony Hawk.
Nice, dude.
Really?
Wow.
So this is my stealth game. Like, you guys don't even know I've been playing it. I've been playing a shit ton of this game. But I'm not
talked about it.
I'm glad that you are playing a game that you're not angry about or telling us about. I'm glad you have a game that's for you.
Yeah, I'm not even, and it's so much for me because it's not from a nostalgia perspective, because I don't think I played 1 or 2 ever. Like, it's just the same with the Mafia thing. Like, I'm playing through it and I'm going, none of this is familiar. And like, even how to accomplish things. Like, I literally just figured out from our mutual friend Phil. Okay, I just figured out from Phil that I can actually shift my board while I'm on a grind. Didn't even know that, to get more points. I didn't even know I could do that.
Yeah,
I had no idea. Did not know that, and didn't realize I could also jump while I'm in a grind and then come back down and grind again for more points. Didn't know I could do that either. So there's all these things I'm learning like a child, like brand new to the world of Tony
I'm
Hawk.
just surprised you naturally didn't try and jump and land on the same rail to rebalance yourself.
I don't know. Yeah. Like, I was never a skater at all. I never really played
people
the original
skaters
games.
don't do that.
No, but like, I never really like. It wouldn't be my instinct to even think of that. But
no, I got you. It's interesting to hear that. Like,
but
you've been playing it.
I'm mostly complete like 1. I haven't done anything from 2. I haven't got to the nut levels on 1, like the crazy stuff, like whatever. I don't know. They have a hanger and like all this fucking. The one I'm working on right now is that stupid downhill with the pipes and shit. I hate that.
Downhill jam, bro.
Downhill jam. Yeah.
Downhill jam might be the worst fucking level.
Dude.
That's the worst, man. I don't know how to get any points in that. I'm gonna figure it out. But yeah, that's my number 3.
It's great.
Dude, I'm so glad that you have that on your list, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Neo, what is your game number 3?
My number 3 is Ghosts of Tsushima.
I was wondering where it was gonna land.
Yeah, which means you guys have no idea probably you don't know what my number 1 is, but we'll see. Ghost of Tsushima, awesome game, open world game, does all that normal stuff. The samurai setting though, the combat, the color palette, all those things created this like amazing, beautiful experience that I just loved playing. On top of that, them releasing a free update that no one really needed or asked for, and it created this online experience. I got to experience the raid and this almost Destiny like game like system that they implemented in their game for free, and it was just fun. It's fun multiplayer, and I know Felix, you
I downloaded
mentioned me.
I downloaded it for your benefit, so we could play.
I mean, it's going to be for your benefit too, because you're going to have a good time.
Yeah, it's installed. It's installed right now.
definitely play the story a little bit first, because
Oh, no,
the
I
game
have
will
to.
teach you
I
how
have
to
to.
play it, before you get in the multiplayer. Then you'll understand, the combat's great. The stance system was fun to play with. It made you choose your combat style between whatever you were fighting against. Like, depending on the enemy that you're up against, you need to adjust your play style when that happens. Also, you can be a completely stealthy boy, or you can be an aggressive person, and they reward you either way for how you choose to play. The game is just it took open worlds, which for me, I guess it's in some way kind of an exhaustive experience when they scatter the map with a whole bunch of question marks and stuff, and then they make you do errands for hours before you can enjoy the story and whatever. For me, it's kind of growing old. But Ghost of Tsushima,
They're called gigs.
Gave me a reason.
All right, gigs. Fuck you.
gigs, that's what they're called.
Gigs.
Ghost of Tsushima gave me a reason to enjoy the open world of Tsushima by creating a beautiful, gorgeous world that it invited me to explore, and a story that accompanied that. And I love samurai settings. Like, it was perfect. Like, I will probably replay that on PS5 at some point.
Neo, how do I
Very nice.
ensure that I'm playing the PS5 higher resolution version of that game?
In display settings, well, there's no PS5 version. You're playing the PS4 version, but you do get the option to pick fidelity mode or performance mode.
Okay, and
So
I want to do fidelity.
Nah.
Fidelity will give you the higher visual aspect, but performance mode will give you a 60 frames per second experience.
Oh,
A smoother
so I should
experience.
do performance.
Depends on what you want.
As someone that doesn't notice, you want performance.
Thank you.
Just listen to me. You want performance.
Honestly,
I won't steer you wrong.
Play both. Like, try one for an hour and then try the other for an hour. See how that feels for you.
He's not even going to notice the difference.
No.
I would love to see if he will.
What he's going to notice the difference on is how sluggish his character feels in fidelity mode. That's what
Fidelity mode.
Yeah, you'll say, yeah, this is so fast in performance. Why is everything look so fast to me? That's what he'll say in the beginning.
I'm gonna love
One
it.
version's like butter.
You're not really used to 60 FPS. Yeah, it's true.
I'm playing performance mode.
Do you remember the first time you've ever seen a movie on like a 120 hertz TV and you're like, this is weird?
Yeah.
That's what you're going to go through for games for a little bit.
Can't fucking
Yeah.
wait.
And then you're
That's
gonna
good,
go,
though.
and then one day you're
Good
gonna
weird.
go back and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck was I doing?"
Exactly.
Why was I playing
Yeah.
this horse shit?
100%.
All right, Trip. What is your game?
Number 3 is Watch Dogs Legion.
Wow.
Wow.
This game I had zero expectations for, besides being a London simulator for a city that I always wanted to visit. And as I spent more and more time in this game, I was blown away by the story, which blows the story of Watch Dogs 2 out of the water in terms of the characters they wrote. Really. And the way that the story ties together. The level of detail and interaction in the world. It really never wore off. The fact that I could like fuck around and just hire and play as anyone in the world. And they all have different skills, abilities, speeds, interactions, voice lines. It was insane. And I chose to play on Iron Man Permadeath difficulty for this game. Now the game has 3 levels of difficulty. There's normal, there's permadeath, and those things make sense, right? With permadeath meaning if you die, your character is like dead, right? But Iron Man permadeath means that once you start your save in this game, you can't ever turn Iron Man permadeath off. So say you get halfway through and you go, oh man, I lost someone I was attached to. I don't want to go through that again. I'm gonna go back to just normal. I can't go back to just Iron Man. I'm locked into permadeath.
You made your choice, yeah.
I did. And I lost some heartbreaking characters. And I've had some like gaming moments that I've never had in any other game because of that decision. Because of like the attachment that I personally got to the team that I made. And
That's actually really good to hear, dude. It
Yeah.
really is.
It reminds
held
me
up.
of State of Decay. It really does.
I mean,
Sure.
I'm sure the systems are all different,
Decay.
but like,
Yeah.
just definitely reminds me of that.
But yeah, I mean, it never lost that shine, and I felt like I had that connection with my squad. Like there are people that I barely ever played with because I wanted to protect them, and some people that had really good skills that I took into a lot of scenarios. And oh my god, dude. Bobby Anderson, I'm so sorry I got you killed in the car chase, dude. I'm so fucking sorry. I'm so sorry. I wasn't expecting an RPG fucking up the slowest car in the world's asshole. I picked this car, it was slow as shit, and they fired a rocket into it, and I just wasn't expecting it. And I don't think there's not a day to go by I don't think about Bobby, honestly.
I can't wait.
That's an amazing experience that you are now carrying with you because of the way that game was designed. Like, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. And I had very low expectations for that game.
I did too. I thought I was just going to be playing a 3D London simulator.
Yeah. I think why it's so cool that you had that experience and you ranked it number 3 for you is because I don't think it necessarily got any overtly like bad reviews or bad, but like it just fizzled. Like it came out and it was gone. It was like, hey, here's this new game. No one ever talked about it again, right? And it's really good to see them create a great game that's somebody loved. So I
mean, I think the reason that happened is because it really didn't deviate too much from the Watch Dogs formula. So if you were tired of that or over that, it didn't really offer anything new. But in my personal experience, coming so closely off of a playthrough of Watch Dogs 2, which I did leading up into this release, just for fun, so many things shined for me, so many improvements in this game world, in the storytelling, in the design, in the voice acting. It was weird voice acting. Yeah, it was an unexpected just this connection to me in gaming.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, I can't really follow that up, but my game number 2 is Warzone. And I don't have any real reason why besides it's just a really good battle royale.
And you put a lot of hours into it. You know what I mean? Like it validates.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I find it to be really, really fun to play with friends. We've spent a lot of time playing with a variety of different groups in Warzone, but I guess another reason why it's there is because it is definitely the new de facto battle royale standard for how a battle royale should be.
I agree.
There's of course things that could be done better in and itself as a game. The developers could be better, all of these things, right? I don't want to discount some of the things that have gone really wrong, but if we think about the path that battle royale took as a genre, you can't compare what Warzone is as a package to like what PUBG still is, because there's so many things wrong with PlayerUnknown still to this day, that it's like playing an N64 version of a game to a PS4, PS5 version of the same game, right?
It was 5 years ago, but it really looks and feels like that now.
It just plays. It's faded now. Like the play
like PUBG, going back to it after playing Warzone or really any other modern BR is like going back to try and play GoldenEye. And like you really loved GoldenEye when you played it, and it was a great multiplayer game back then when you played it. And then like the first time you go back to play it, you're like, oh, it's gonna be fucking awesome playing GoldenEye. And then like you get back and you're using the goddamn stupid controller from N64 to try and aim, and it's like you got polygonal characters and like you're trying to fucking aim, and it's like it's just not the experience from what you remember. It doesn't discount the times that you had or what it was at the time.
But you're right. That's the best way to put it. It doesn't line up with your memory of it.
Correct. And I still like to go back and play PUBG every now and then because I it's the first game that I played on PC and sunk a ton of hours into. But Call of Duty will always do gunplay really well. It's the only other franchise that I think rivals Destiny in its gunplay. So it just feels really great to shoot. The revive mechanic and the buyback mechanic in a BR is super important, so you don't have to watch your team play for an additional 30 minutes and just watch while they play, which is huge. you know, and they did it a little bit different than the way Apex Legends does it, but just the ability to buy back and, you know, the gulag mechanic to be able to win after you die and come back on your own because you defeated somebody one-on-one. There's just like a lot of mechanics that Warzone added, and I think it's another game that's hit the zeitgeist of you know, mainstream gaming. And there's been plenty of evenings where we've had an unreal time playing that game and you know, getting a W as a squad and just really enjoying ourselves. So for that, that's game number 2 for me. Felix, what do you got for 2?
Number 2, Water Lilies by Claude Monet. Cyberpunk.
Okay. I got it.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
I will be incredibly brief because we talked about it earlier. I like the verticality of the game. I was able to, without playing the story at all and taking that into factor because I haven't played it at all. The only thing I played remotely close to a story was I romanced Judy, and I had a great time fucking doing it.
Oh, I can't wait to romance her. Oh, I'm ready.
But like I'm gonna find it with this game that I'm gonna play through to create builds, just like I did with Skyrim. Like I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna play it heavily with nothing but melee. I'm gonna like min-maxing is something that you can do really effectively in this game, and I really want to do maximum like melee. I want to do maximum hacking.
You can min-max, yeah, very effectively.
Really effectively, and I think that's really cool. And the verticality, man, like the parkour in this fucking game, if you really get into it, you just end up jumping all over the place. If you can figure out how to do the trick where you aim down and slingshot yourself with this weird zoom, I hope they don't ever patch that because it's
I'll have to.
You have to look up a video on how to do it. It's in the video for the guy who explains how to get to this mansion, the Secret V mansion. He explains how to do it. Once you do it, you're like, I can do this everywhere. Like I can literally cheese this game all over the place and just fly about the city. It's fucking cool. And I'm gonna get a lot of replay. I'm gonna put many hours into this save file, and then I'm probably immediately gonna replay the game again just to like do it all differently. You know, I do want to do all 3 life paths, so yeah, I'm excited.
I'm still convinced that that Cyberpunk will have legs for years.
Yeah. Like what Locke said. Like what I said in concurrence with Trip and Locke. I think there's a game there, but it's in an unfinished, like incomplete world.
Yeah, it needs a lot of polish.
Yeah. So
look, I disagree with you. Not in the choice of you having it as number 2. In your choice is Judy, Pan Am is Bay, but you know it's your choice, man. Now, I played as a female V, so I can't officially romance Pan Am, but in my specific ending that I got and the adventures that I had with Pan Am and the experiences we had, I can headcanon an ending where we go off into the sunset together. So that's fine for me.
That right there is an example of what I think is also in concurrence with you shitty. Like, why can't these characters be romance fluid? You know what I mean?
Well,
like
romance fluid. It goes back to the same thing with like in Mass Effect, you could screw an alien. Like there was no like you had like
no boundaries.
There were no boundaries to your romance.
Yeah,
like,
I don't understand why a female V can't romance Pan Am. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Why couldn't it happen?
Not at all.
You know what I mean? Like,
and if I'm being honest, and this goes into my dislike of the ending. I'm not spoiling anything, but like the dialogue at the end was very much like it sounded like we were just gonna be together. And I was like, but I had a whole separate conversation with you where like I put my hand on your leg and you're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't. You know, like I had that moment, but now we're doing all this. It's happening in my brain. It's in my brain. It's happening. Yeah. Also, maybe write some more dialogue, but that's
number 2.
Neo Aoshi.
Number 2, right?
2. Yeah, number 2.
Number 2 is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Ooh.
Okay.
That game was a blast the whole way through until Hojo's Lab, where I was like, "Come on, dog, what you doing? What you doing? We've been flying high this whole time."
You didn't like the Hojo's Lab boss fight?
No, it was the moment. I mean, spoilers for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like, you get to the moment where Genova's there and Sephiroth's there, right?
Oh, the moment where
then-
the story really breaks away from the original story.
Oh yeah, and then like the game goes, nah, dog, you got to go through Hojo's lab and fuck around in this area for another like 4 hours, and I'm like,
oh, you mean like
I'm
a
like,
whole other-
come on.
Yeah. I got
Yeah, and that whole other section in the lab, and I'm like, come on, man, like, whatever, doesn't matter. I really love the music we talked about a lot. Like, holy shit, that shit slaps the whole time. It's beautiful. The characters look amazing. The characters' voice actors are amazing. Like, they add context to the original game that like I loved watching, on top of kind of breaking away from the original narrative of the game. Like I'm trying to like avoid spoilers a little bit, but
Yeah.
like at the same time I'm kind of spoiling it. But
Yeah, I mean, I think
it's cool.
I think people know that it shifts a little bit, and we're not going to go into details, but
No.
yeah. But I mean, we've had many conversations about this, and the soundtrack is like, it's like 3 different soundtracks in one, because you have the music you're used to, you have the remixes of the music you're used to, and not like digital remixes. Like we're talking about like full on rescores, and it's not only orchestral rescores. You have areas that are you know, guitar centric or like brass centric, like full on a true rescore. Then you have a whole third element to this, which is like a fun little side questy, find all the fun jukebox versions of our favorite songs, some of which have the best music of the entire entry right here. So like on the soundtrack alone, they did so much more work than they ever had to for this game.
On top of the music, because clearly that is a huge standout of the game, the combat system took what Kingdom Hearts, never played Kingdom Hearts, but it took what Final Fantasy 15 did with the active RPG combat system and made it amazing in a way where you manage your squad and the materia matters. Like materia from the original game is back, and they made it so it matters who you attach materia to and what items, what like accessory and weapon that they're using. And like
Having
combat
just played Final Fantasy 15 2 months ago, I can tell you it feels so much better than Final Fantasy 15. Like in all the
it really does. And like even going back and watching the 15 combat is like, I see where they're going with it, but like they're not quite there yet, because the rest of the team is useless in 15. Like they're just set dressing at that point. You're still doing everything, and it's not fun because the way that game makes you fight is you retreat from battle, go back into battle in order to, you break up the flow of combat. And what Final Fantasy 7 does is, Cloud's taking a little bit too much damage. Well, guess what? You got Barrett, who's a ranged character, and he can chill back and you can use his attacks while Cloud recovers. Or Tifa, and the animations are beautiful. The art is beautiful. Like you revisit these areas in full 3D in Midgar, and it's amazing to walk through it. It's, oh man, like this almost was my number one for like a
yeah. No, I mean, I hear what you're saying, dude. And there's a wild parallel between what like Resident Evil 2 and 3 did for their counterparts in terms of bringing them into like a newer generation, and Final Fantasy 7 did that and more. Like you had the same experience. If you were someone who would love the original games, you had that experience, and it did the thing that we just talked about. You don't get by going back to like something like GoldenEye. You know, like you play a game how you remember the game. And when you boot up these remakes, especially Final Fantasy 7, you get what you remember, which is not what the actual game was. You get your memory of the game, which is the more magical, esoteric quality to this. They somehow gave you the experience of what you remember as a kid, which is so hard to do, so hard to deliver on, because as a kid, of course, you have these areas built up, and you have like, you hear the dialogue in your brain. There's so much that happens that takes these games that are 2D and gives them life to a fan, right? And this game did that. The game itself did that, which I don't think anyone was expecting to happen on that level.
No, I don't think so either. And on top of that, the way they shift the story beats and plots, I'm very excited for what they do next, because this isn't over. Like they are making more of this, because it was only the Midgar section of the game. Like we all knew that at launch. Like they said that it was. I'm really excited for what they do next and the new characters that we haven't seen yet from the original cast, and like all these other things they did. And that ending, man, I don't know what to expect. Like going into this, I knew what I was expecting. I was expecting the Midgar section of 7.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know what they're gonna do now. And like that is more exciting to me, because now we get to see an alternate version of the events. And who knows? Ending could have used a little work. Just saying. The ending, you know what? Could have
It went to Kingdom Hearts land and didn't need to go that hard into there. But yeah, beyond that.
Yeah, I'm talking about the fight, not the ending movie itself. The fight.
I would say both of those.
Word. Okay. Agreed. Agree. For sure. And that's my number 2.
Nice. My number 2 is The Last of Us Part 2.
Woo.
Incredible game experience. Incredibly hard to top for me personally, but one game did it. We'll get to that in 4 more conversations.
I'm excited.
But no, go ahead.
I was going to just say, what was your experience like playing them so close together? Because I think that's a different experience from someone like myself who is going off of memory. And I played a shit ton of the game, but like it's different to be able to play it in such a fluid order, which was really cool. So what was that like for you?
It honestly felt like one game, where in the second half of it, of course we're talking about part 2, things just got more refined. They got smoother across the entire board. It was nothing but a constant ramp. Everything was better.
Right.
Every single thing was better. If you're a fan of the original Jesus Christ, sorry, the original Last of Us, and you have not played 2, speaking to Locke specifically, but also anyone else who's listening who's not been there, you will find nothing but an escalation of everything you enjoyed in the first game, story-wise as well as gameplay. They iterated on all the things that I had an issue with. There were some specific hangups I had with gameplay that I can't remember specifically now. I think we touched on this in maybe some of the episodes.
The rope. You had a problem with the ropes. Everyone had a problem with the ropes.
Yes, the ropes were very annoying. There were some weird ladder grabbing issues as well. It's not, but like overall, this is like one of the best video game experiences. It's wholly unique to how video games are being delivered now. You have an incredible story. You have an incredible gameplay loop. And the second part of this just elevated that to the next level entirely, including a pretty massive paradigm shift halfway through the game that I'm excited for everyone to experience their first time through the game.
Spoiler free.
Yeah. Nothing, very little has hit as hard as Last of Us Part 2 hit front to back.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're going to make me play it before they make a PC port, huh?
I mean, you can keep waiting. You
probably should.
Avoid it so far.
You probably should.
I got a PS4 laying around now. Would you like it?
I have one. I just...
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know.
We'll revisit it.
I don't know where the PC is going to go in my new house, so I might be playing more on my PlayStation.
Right. I mean, that's a great point.
Yeah. Dope. So for my game number 1, I never thought I would say that this franchise would be in my top 5, let alone my number 1.
God, I'm so excited.
And that is Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Whoa!
Wow. The year.
Whoa!
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those echoes of me in 2018.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I've just really, I think going in having no negative experiences to really go off of from previous Assassin's Creed franchises, and have no background to the franchise at all, and just look at this as a singular title and a singular game, I think probably helped it in a lot of ways.
You can. It's not really connected to anything previous.
But you still grab the baggage of like mechanics from previous games you didn't like, or maybe an installment into the franchise that you didn't like that carries with you one way or the other if you're not like a super fan
Definitely
of
can.
the franchise, right? It's big, it's bold, the color scheme is gritty and dirty, just like Scandinavia would be. The story and the politics are immersive. It takes place in a time frame and a setting and a mythos that I absolutely love, which is probably why I've enjoyed so much of it.
How many hours are you in?
About 30, I think, at this point.
Oh, nice.
Rating,
that's further than I would have thought. Yeah,
rating is still so much fun to like just land on a plot of land and blow my horn, and to see people freak out and just throw my fire arrows on a roof and catch their church on fire, and to see priests running out of the buildings. Like, I'm essentially just role playing Viking.
That's amazing.
And it feels fantastic. Yeah, so I think I said it before, but anyone that has taken a break from Assassin's Creed or is just a fan of this time period and setting should absolutely play this game. I think it does a really good job of balancing that like historical accuracy and that historical like tourism aspect of playing an Assassin's Creed game like they've done with Egypt, and they've done with what was the one that came after Origins?
Odyssey.
Odyssey, excuse me, like they did with Odyssey,
ancient Greece,
right? And they balance that with with it being mythical and it being a video game to being grounded and real, and not to mention that like England's Dark Ages and the political aspect of like Dark Ages England is just fascinating to me, and to see it brought to life in a video game is really cool. And it's also cool to see them exceed my expectations, because I have a really low bar and poor feeling to any Ubisoft title. So to see them actually like elevate that for me personally is really, really cool. So for that, Valhalla was my my game of the year.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
This may not be your cup of tea with the game specifically, but I was watching a stream one day and I saw that one of the characters in the modern day segments, which were always like some of my favorite parts of Assassin's Creed, was the Sean, I think his name is, a British guy. How do they handle like
Sean's
the bridging of story gaps with that? Was it engaging? Did you not care? No, it wasn't.
So that was probably the well, I also struggle because I don't know anything. So that also doesn't really help. But it always seemed very jarring. And maybe that's the point of it. Maybe breaking the Animus is supposed to be jarring and disorienting, but it never felt like the right moment or the right time to then cut back out of that, because I just wanted to be like, I personally don't care.
You wanted to be back in the Viking shit.
Yeah.
Is Layla,
because that's
is Layla Hassan in that? Is she still a character?
I don't know. I don't think I've crossed paths.
It's possible she's only in Odyssey. It's possible. She is who is going into the Animus every single time in Odyssey to play as. To whatever as that person.
It's not ringing a bell. So maybe not. But yeah,
so is it Sean for this one? Is it Sean? Is he your main guy?
Well, it was the British. He's the British dude, Sean. I'm forgetting his name.
Sean is played by a notable like voice actor, and that character's been in the series for a long time. So
got it. I'll have to look it up to confirm. But yeah, I mean, the cutscenes are fantastic. It feels like you're watching a TV show. There's a lot of bugs and wonky things that you would expect from an Ubisoft title, an Assassin's Creed title. But I think it kind of works. I think the some of those color palette choices and some of the choices that they made, I think just work for the setting. that they have in Scandinavia and the time period. So
A lot of
I'm super
fjords.
happy with my time. Yeah, I'm super happy with my time. I can't wait to play more with it. Can't wait to bump up some of the settings now and to see how much prettier I can make it look, which will be really cool. So yeah, absolutely. Play the game.
Nice.
Felix, what do you got for your game of the year?
My game of the year is The Last of Us 2, baby. I don't have to
There
elaborate
it
much. We did the whole spoiler episode. Check that out. It's out there. Or you can go back, rewind down our list of episodes. If you haven't listened to it, check out our Last of Us 2 spoiler.
It was a good talk.
If you've played the game, obviously you do not want to spoil the end of that game or like the midpoint that Trip was talking about earlier. But it's what they did with that midpoint that elevated gaming in general. Like like original 2013 Last of Us was the best piece of media that I experienced across the board in 2013.
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it.
It is the best story that I saw, TV, movie, whatever. And obviously I didn't watch everything
agree.
in 2013, but that was the best experience because it was interactive. You know what I mean? You get to
I agree.
experience the emotion. So they redid all that and then one-upped themselves by challenging the player even further in their own and this is hard to describe, Locke, without spoiling it, so I'll do my best. But like they challenge the viewer to, or the player of the game, to question themselves halfway through the game. And I don't need to go into details to explain what that means, but imagine playing a game where you're interacting and all the decisions you made, basically you have to now rethink them. Like,
Interesting. Okay.
what did I do? You know, like
Right.
like, was that a good thing that I did? And they went even further to like, I don't know, man. You just have to experience it to know what I'm talking about.
Can I say one thing that's spoiler free?
Yeah, go ahead.
Please.
Hands down, the most well done, well written, well performed, well displayed sex scenes in any video game.
Yeah, that's true.
1,000%.
What?
1,000%.
No.
In Last of Us?
Yeah, I thought
Two. The one that just came out.
Yes. Bro, I am cringing through every scene in Cyberpunk. It's like I hate sitting through a Cyberpunk sex scene.
Oh,
I hate it. It's like awkward as fuck.
blaspheme.
Part two,
I don't know
was
if I
like,
agree with that.
I was like, this makes a lot of sense.
This
I'm
was
here
good.
for this.
This was good. I'm there for it. Yeah, I was in it.
Sure. Okay.
Neil, we'll
Look at this
talk
guy.
when Locke is not on the call.
Let's
I don't
talk
wanna
when it's
ruin
not a
anything.
spoiler. Yeah.
I don't want to either.
I'm curious because maybe I'm forgetting something, but like everything I remember is like, this is the best I've ever seen this done.
It was
But-
controversial, man, what you're talking about. It was very controversial.
Yeah.
Versal.
So anyway, my reasoning is that it elevated gaming beyond gaming. Like it was,
Nice.
it wasn't just a game.
Large,
You know,
large. degree.
Whereas the criticism very strongly of Cyberpunk, which is valid for most people, is that it just became a
a
game.
game. Yeah.
Right? It didn't elevate anything like it's claimed it was
Didn't
going
do
to.
anything. Yeah.
And this is a game that
Nice.
actually elevated gaming to an art or like something you
Right.
know, equivalent to art. You know, going back to my
I am
analogy, the running analogy of it of paintings.
Mhm.
There's no Monet here. This is representational shit.
Yeah. Like I know Neo's already offered as well, but Locke, depending on what my content menu looks like, I might have a PS4 Pro that's sitting on my floor for a couple months. So
Oh.
not permanent. It'd be like a loaner situation.
Of course.
It
Maybe
just
with a loaner
if
for
it
a
wasn't
few weeks,
Glacier White, I would say have it, but it was the Glacier White, and I really like this one, so I gotta keep it. But I could be like play the game, you know.
Yeah, that would definitely sway me more than playing it on my launch PS4 that I have.
Yeah.
That would play it, but it would probably play it miserably.
hate
in
it, yeah.
comparison.
Hey, I played it on a launch PS4. I played it on a launch PS4.
That's true. That's true.
Mhm. I can play it on PS5
all right.
now.
I am very interested in both of your game of the year because I don't know what either of you are going to say. So, Neo Aoshi, what is your game of the year?
Are you ready? Because it is Half-Life Alyx.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. That game is good. It's
that took your of the year.
of the year because for many reasons.
Yeesh. Okay.
It is a game. It is an experience because I played a few VR games before, and I got the VR headset specifically because this game was coming. And Beat Saber, a fantastic experience on VR. But my God, Half-Life Alyx is like the moment in Half-Life 2. I don't know if you guys did this when the Orange Box came out. When you realized the gravity gun could pick up everything, and you were like, whoa, this game is letting me mess with objects in the world like I've never done before. Because the physics engine was there, the game progression and story was there. Now, expand that on a level where I am now in the world of Half-Life. My hands can pull things to me. I aim the guns physically. I am in the world immersively, and the game looks gorgeous because I'm literally surrounded by it. And everything about the experience was just amazing. Like I'm playing a Half-Life game, but I'm doing it
As the character.
as the character.
Mhm.
I'm not
I'm not Alex.
well, look, here's the thing. I am Alex. Exactly. But here's the thing. Like, there's a disconnection when you're using an input device like a keyboard and mouse or a controller, right? The input device was, yeah, they were the touch controllers that they use for the VR headset. But my input is 1-to-1 with what's happening in the game. Like, it is. I wasn't kidding when we talked about this back in March Trip. Like you have a VR headset, you need to play this and experience what it feels like.
Man, my space right now is not conducive to like a VR setup, but
I still recommend it.
I am so. First of all, I would have lost all of my money if I had to try and guess your game of the year. So kudos to
I know.
you. Secondly, I am very impressed that a VR game has made it
It's
to
the
a
best.
game of the year.
yeah, same, right? Because like usually
and
there's
it's almost like to
experience.
what, right? And to kind of before you continue, just to kind of make a note that, like, I think maybe what I'm hearing from your experience is like this is the first step into showing what VR can become in the future for gaming. Like, there's not really a lot of great examples. Like Beat Saber is like a fun arcadey thing to do, but like that
It's like
isn't
playing
going to
DDR.
propel
I mean,
VR,
yeah.
right? It's not gonna propel VR into further into gaming. Like, this type of experience you're describing is what is the future of VR for games.
Yep, 100%. And they solved a lot of issues with various other first-person games that I played in VR, like Pavlov and Arizona Sunshine, the Walking Dead game. Like, these are all first-person games, but they solved a lot of the issues that those games still had. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, just the gravity gloves alone make a lot of the annoyance of the game like gone. Like, it becomes a tool that you're using and you're enjoying to use. Let me just briefly describe an experience of why this game did what it did.
You don't want to know what time we're on, so just live in it.
I know.
Live in it.
There is
This happens once a year.
the game escalates and de-escalates itself in the perfect, like, single player campaign ways, right? There are moments of high tension, there are moments of lows where you're just taking in the environment. Music's great too, obviously, like, that's a huge part of it. But there's one moment of the game, it's called, the chapter I think is called like Jeffrey or something, and there is a monster that you can't kill, and he can't see you, but he can hear you, and you're in a vodka bottle factory. So when you bump into things and you knock bottles over, that alerts him. And there are moments where I'll never forget this moment in the game, because there's a moment when you you have a tool that connects wires behind walls, and you run your arm through it, right? And you're connecting these wires, and you do this through a process because you need to take the elevator out of this room. But Jeffrey's in this area, and he's fucking with you because he's hunting you down. And there's a moment where you go, "Fuck yes, I locked him in the freezer. I can get the elevator. Like I connected the wires to the elevator." And then the person on your comms in your headpiece goes, "Oh shoot, Alex, the switch to turn the power on is in the freezer where you locked Jeffrey in." And then you go, "Fuck." And it's this whole like cat and mouse stealth section of the game.
Did this hit differently for you because the person was like, "Alex, listen to me. You gotta go
The
back to
inside
that
joke is
freezer."
that is my name. But yeah, they say Alex a lot in that game, obviously, because your character is. But I guess so. It was immersive. I mean, your character does speak, unlike Gordon Freeman, who is a voiceless character.
Notoriously silent, yes.
And people just talk at Gordon Freeman. But no, Alex is a character that talks and has a voice and a personality with whoever she's talking to in the game. So it's a different experience than like half the other Half-Life games. But man, that moment in that game where you go, finally, like my heart can stop racing now because I locked the monster in the closet in the freezer. But then the guy on the phone goes, "Actually, you got to get back in that room because the switch is in that room." And it's an amazing game. It like honestly, like the whole way through, you're surrounded by visual majesty because of the headset, like, and you're just immersed in this world. The first thing you can do in the game is pick up a marker and draw on a whiteboard. Like they put you in an area where you can just play with things in the room, like, and walk around and just really get a feel for the physics and how you interact with it. Like I can't wait to like forget about the game so I can play it again.
It's great to hear that you mentioned that stuff, because like I've seen the trailers for Half-Life Alex and it looks really immersive and engaging, and definitely like the most interactive VR experience you could possibly have. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, so now I just have more things to touch, right? Like I'm still in the VR dome that I get, but the fact that you're telling me you experience all that, but also like the way it's talking to you as a character in this, like it's making me feel better about immersing myself in it.
Chapter to chapter, the game makes you think about what you're doing in VR differently every time. Like it's never just, okay, I'm in this next building and I'm in a gunfight. Okay, I'm in this next building, solve the puzzle, next building. It's like literally going, okay, now you're in a section where this monster's chasing you and you're in a vodka factory and it is a vodka bottle factory, and you throw bottles to distract him, and you're picking up objects in the world, and you're exploring and discovering things. And like the game you're never getting complacent in the game about the loop that you're going through. It's never just shoot story, puzzle, maybe. Like the game is constantly changing what you're doing all the time, the whole way through.
I thought it would be what you described. I thought that's what it would be.
It's not. And like when you reach that final chapter, there is a moment. I don't know if any of you have played Half-Life 2 at all. One of the chapters or one of the episodes. Like there's a moment where shit goes off the rails in Half-Life 2, and there is a very much hype moment just like that in this game, and it is just as fucking baller and just as awesome by the end of the game. And the ending is fantastic, and I really hope they do make more Half-Life games, because it's not Half-Life 3, but it's definitely a good Half-Life.
Wild.
That's fucking
I'm done.
dude.
Yeah,
That's dope.
It's worth
I love
trying it.
Game of the Year.
I feel like this whole Game of the Year episode is one of the best we've had. Like there's already been so many surprises and experiences and just great conversations about gaming.
It's good.
So Trip,
The number one for me personally.
I can't wait to hear this.
My personal one is Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1.
Woo!
Yeah. I had a feeling.
Yeah.
I had a feeling.
You would have made money on me, lost money on Neo. Yeah.
I would have broke even tonight. I would have broke even.
You would have made it. You would have made some scratch on me though. That was pretty easy.
It's like true. I don't know, man. That game, And I really try to be hypercritical of myself as someone who does a podcast, someone who streams, someone who is a voice in this community for whatever amount of audience we have. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to be critical about the stuff that I consume, right? So especially for Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was like, I can't just be a fanboy.
Right.
I truly look at this like a new release, a new video game. I can use the lens of someone who played the originals, sure, but I can't let that grow too much, right? Like I have to limit this somehow. And no matter how I look at this, it's my personal game of the year. It truly is. They did so much for the players of the original games. They set up so much for the future. They had such a depth to the battle system, and the battle system depth is not even like a what am I trying to say here? It's not even like a thing where it's like, oh, I understand more if I played originally. The battle system is literally like you can play to a depth you're comfortable with. If you're a casual gamer, all you have to do is get better swords for Cloud and you'll survive. If you're someone who played the original or someone who is still brand new but curious about what materia is, you can increase the depth and experience of your battle to a level you didn't know was possible. But it doesn't affect your experience or your difficulty. Like you'll still be challenged either way. And no matter what way I came at this, because I was trying to challenge myself when I was like, am I going to make this my number one? Really? Like, really? Is this really going to be the one that I'm going to say is the number one? Every angle I try to challenge myself at, I kept coming back. No, this is the one. This is the thing that's the best of the year for you. Because from every perspective, it really hit it. We've already talked about soundtrack, Neo, from the last round.
Oh.
Soundtrack was incredible. It hit on multiple levels, at least 3 discrete ones. You know, like they did work they didn't have to do for the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And that's just insane to me. They deviated from the story, which no one was expecting them to do. Again, they didn't have to do. They could have just told the same story in multiple chunks and everyone would have still probably loved it. But this what they did was so smart because they didn't really stir the pot too much, because everything they did and the things they chose could easily be like dismissed, right? Or just knocked down to like not that important. But it's also at the same time enough to throw your entire expectation of the sequel up in the air. It just from every angle of this game, I don't know if any game has hit a similar experience from someone who has played an original. Now, if you're new to the entire franchise, I don't think you're going to have as deep of a connection to this game, which is completely understandable. And it probably hits more like a Kingdom Hearts action RPG kind of video game. But even from that perspective, you're going to find a game with a really in-depth battle system with multiple different depth levels. You're going to find great voice acting, a really solid story, and incredible music, and a great hook for a sequel. So to me, it's the game of the year. It's 2020, 1000%.
Dude, I'll never forget watching the Eris voice actress play her, or like run into her character while playing it for the first time.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on Twitter. It was pretty cool.
Oh man.
I mean, thank God.
What was that?
I was gonna just say thank God it came out and was like a critical success. Because like honestly,
miracle, bloody miracle.
Thank God it even
Can
came out.
you imagine if that came out and then Cyberpunk came out and we're like, well, I guess this is the end of video games this year.
Real.
Because I would argue that like there was a very similar weight on the FF7 remake.
Yeah,
it would the category was slightly different in terms of like how the weight was placed on there, but like the amount of weight was pretty much the same in terms of like what this means for the future.
Mm-hmm.
There were expectations going into Final Fantasy, a remake of a game, a beloved game from years ago. Yeah, for sure. Whew.
And if I look through that lens too, there's not one single section of disappointment. which is the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Because there are things that suck about the game for sure. Let me think of a thing that sucks.
The ending. No, not part of the ending. Parts of the ending.
Parts of the ending
Parts of
kind of
the-
suck.
yeah. Yeah.
What was I gonna say?
Extending, artificially extending areas to the point where they didn't need to. I
Do you
don't
mean
think.
like where you're like stuck somewhere, looping back for quests and stuff?
No, those actually didn't bother me because it's not like they threw tons of question marks out there for you to do. They were like actual storyline
called gigs.
side quests. Gigs, sure.
Stop it.
No,
Stop it.
honestly,
Because
it
you
really
call
comes
them
down.
gigs doesn't mean I'm going to someone's apartment and shooting everyone up and looting the same loot box at the end.
It's a
You
gig.
stop it.
No, I'm talking about like extending like Hojo's Lab. I go back to a lot because at that point, at that point in the game, like you're at the climax of the game. Why are we still padding it with more things to do?
Yeah. Okay.
Why,
So
you know what I mean? Like
right. And,
that
and
kind of.
we're gonna get into spoiler territory. So like fast forward 5 minutes, maybe if you're someone listening and has never played FF7 from 1997. But yeah, in the original game, you get to Hojo's lab, and you discover
you fight Genova. Yeah.
you fight this thing, this alien, and you discover a new character, Red 13, a genetically modified dog, and you try to escape. All these things happen in the same moment, right? In the remake, these things do happen, but they take you to a new area that has never been part of the original game, where you now have to like do more of the escaping the laboratory section. But the problem that was annoying was they split your party up forcefully, and you couldn't have your same characters do all of the same things. And the biggest issue was that you had to remap all of your spells and abilities and skills and your materia between these swapping sections, and they were forced swap sections. So you couldn't say, I just want to run this team through the whole thing and deal with it that way. Every single 10, 15 minutes, the game said, cool, you play as the other people, either play with them with nothing or spend 5 minutes now re-equipping all of the spells that you have onto them. That was a little bit tedious,
I hated it
for sure. Yeah.
And then the final boss fight, which unnecessary.
The Kingdom Hearts boss fight.
Yeah, like completely unnecessary. Like we don't know the gravity of that character yet in the original story, right? Like the gravity of that character carries, not even introduced yet. Literally not even a thought yet, but the game makes it a thought for you starting at the beginning because they add new scenes and stuff to it, which is fine, kind of cool at first, but then they like go, okay, but now this guy's the boss of the game. Why? He's going to be the boss of part 4, right? Like he's going to be the boss of the end of this the remake trilogy, whatever they're doing, right?
From a story perspective, you don't learn the importance of Sephiroth until after what would have happened in FF7 Remake Part 1, because after our events, our team is going to walk to a town next to Midgard called Calm and get a hotel room, and they're going to be like, why do we just fucking do all that shit? And then comes the exposition. Like that's what happens in the original game. All that story comes out at that point. But in this game, we have an entire final battle, which is Sephiroth, and we're like, as like nostalgia fans, we're like, this is sick. But if you're someone who's new, is like, why the fuck do I give a shit about this long-haired, white-haired guy?
Yeah. You would be like, who the fuck is this dude?
Right.
Like he's just showing up in my in Cloud's memories and dreams and stuff. Yeah. Exactly.
So that's
a little great
problem with the storytelling, but
they're telling a different story because of the way they played it out, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and
it's a new experience. So,
and if I were to play a video game blank, I think it'd be fun as hell to play. So I think that's why it still holds up from my multiple cross examinations of my own self, my own jaded self, my own very, what am I trying to say? Like
shrewd.
No. I'm looking for.
You lost that childlike wonder.
Biased, yeah.
I'm trying to not be biased, and like all those lenses still gave it the number one. So that's my.
That's dope.
All right, I
Good-
think
good
that's the
game of
show.
the year,
That's the
fellas.
show, guys. I think we did it.
That's
We did it.
that is
That's
definitely
definitely
a
a
show.
But I think it was one of the best game of the years. Everyone's had so many surprises, like multiple surprises from all of you guys from listening to this.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And this time I didn't leave out an important game like Horizon like I did before. I definitely did that on one of our Game of the Year talks.
I feel like that
You just
happened
forgot
for
about
sure.
Horizon?
Yeah, I think that year that we did that game came out.
It
I
was
got an app
somebody,
now that
somebody
tracks
else
that.
like somebody else like mentioned it, and you were like,
Oh,
"Oh
fuck.
my god, that game! Oh my god,
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah, that definitely happened.
yeah."
For the record, Tony Hawk was my number 6.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
It's-
Cyberpunk was the number 7. If we had to be.
I will tell
Mm.
you one thing, Trip Zero.
Yeah.
You clearly did not meet Skippy in fucking Cyberpunk.
How was that? I'm gonna ask this question off the stream. Because
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it off the stream. I'm going to sign off.
We're done.
Uh,
Yeah,
We're
we're
done.
wrapping it up.
This is Lock and Key. I will not be on the next 2 weeks of episodes. I am moving next week.
Good
And
luck.
I'm gonna give myself a break after that move. So I'll catch you guys in a few more episodes. But thank you everybody for listening. Please, like Trip mentioned, subscribe on YouTube. We're super close to getting that unique URL. So please drop us a subscription there. And any other reviews you'd like to leave on any other content that we're making. To find me, you could find me on Twitter at @lock_key. Thanks for listening, Felix.
Yeah, this is Felix Hergood. You catch me on Twitter at Felix Hergood. I'm hoping to get back to streaming in 2021. I think about it every single day, so maybe that'll happen. Who knows what I'll be playing at that point? Fuck it.
Great point.
Neo. Yep. Sorry. This is Neo Ayoshi, Neo_Yoshi on Twitter, twitch.tv/Neo Ayoshi. I too am taking a break from streaming. New job is taking up like all my time, but I will return when I have a solid schedule. I get a handle on things. I'll be back with some streams. I'll be back. Trip.
This is Trip Zero. You guys can find me on all of my socials, including Twitch at Trip Zero TV, all spelled out. And I stream Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays on Trip Zero TV on Twitch. And obviously Wednesdays I'm here doing the podcast. Currently we're doing Skyrim Special Edition, modded to absolute shit. It's a lot of fun. A lot of Destiny to expect as well. And we're going to be probably doing that into the foreseeable future, because the only thing that I'm excited about for 2021 is Kena. I forget the name of this, but this game looks actually sick. But that's the only thing that I got on my immediate radar. And
I literally have no idea what's coming out in 2021.
Kena Bridge of
We
Spirits.
should do a show and talk about that next week.
Yeah,
maybe, or
we'll
the
do
week
all
after
that.
That's a great idea. That's a fun idea.
Skyrim fun for like the immersion and 3D experience, and then Destiny 2 for the persistent world grind. So hang out.
Nice. Thanks everybody for listening.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
See ya.